All right. What's going on, guys? Justin again with another video rant. Here's another stickler that some people seem to have trouble with, and for some reasons they're just still surprised that they have issues around this, and that's option money. Also, since they're kind of related, we'll get into option period thoughts and also earnest money for that matter a little bit. This is a very important paragraph in the contract, and if you don't handle it correctly, you can really put your buyers in a weak position to negotiate or lose earnest money. That's kind of where this boils down to. So, and if we post this elsewhere, if I really need to say this out loud, this is not legal advice. This is general information commonly found on the interweb. I'm not an attorney. I'm a broker. And, for your intents and purposes, I'm just an imaginary character on the internet. I'm literally just relaying what TREC and TAR have communicated to us and how they want us to handle these situations. Okay, first things first. What is option money? So in Texas, and for our purposes, for real estate, this is it's literally just consideration given to the seller to have the option to exit the contract without recourse. Specifically, this is the way to get your earnest money back. Okay, so TREC and TAR have drawn a hard line on this and are very explicit that these funds are to be turned in a timely manner. So let's, here we go. Let's go ahead and read through what paragraph 23 has to say. For termination option, paragraph 23, for nominal consideration, the receipt of which is hereby acknowledged by seller and buyer's agreement to pay seller X, that's the option fee, within 3 days after the effective date of this contract, seller grants the buyer the unrestricted right to terminate this contract by giving notice of termination to seller within X days after the effective date of this contract. That's the option period. Notices under this paragraph must be given by 5 p.m. local time by yada 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 by the date it's specified. So the last day they need to give it by 5 p.m. If no dollar amount is stated as the option fee, or if the buyer fails to pay the option fee to the seller within the time prescribed, this paragraph will not be a part of this contract, and buyers shall not have the unrestricted right to terminate for this contract. So their earnest money is at stake, basically. If the buyer gives notice of termination within the time prescribed, the option fee will not be refunded. However, any earnest money will be refunded to the buyer. Option fee will or will not be credited to the sales price at closing. So this is also very important, and they've emphasized this a crap ton right here, that last sentence. Time is of the essence for this paragraph, and strict compliance with the time for the performance is required. So oodles and oodles of case law around this. This is black and white. We shouldn't have to have this discussion anymore. If you're trying to protect your buyers correctly, you got to follow this to the T. Okay, guys? So, all right. Now, this may need to be said to some of y'all. Option money is not earnest money. This is some of y'all that are writing these contracts way too fast. You're not paying attention, and you haven't done enough contracts. You guys mix them up, and holy crap, don't do that. Do not make this mistake. It's, one's a big number, one's a small number. The option fee usually is a small number, and you don't want to put the non-refundable part or put the big number in the non-refundable part. That's a better way to say it. Option money is not refundable. It can be contributed to closing, as it shows right there at the bottom. Option fee can or cannot be contributed to closing. But, earnest money is usually 1%, So if you have a $500,000 contract, that's a big chunk of money to be putting non-refundable and accidentally put that so. And you become liable if that becomes a situation because you made that error. Anyways, that's not even the point that I wanted to do this video. It's something else. Anyways, the main reason I wanted to do this video is because of the timeliness component. It's become, I think there were some notes given out by TAR and TREC about this. If you do not get that option money to the seller or seller's agent within that 3-day period, you do not have an option period. TREC and TAR have made this very clear. And if you're repping buyers, you don't want to make this mistake and give the seller's agent, the listing agent, this advantage, this leverage. It's just too much leverage. You forfeited the earnest money effectively. You got to move forward. You can't move forward. If you want to back out, you lose your earnest money. That's basically what you've gotten to that point. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is get the money into the seller or seller's agent and get the option fee receipted. Get it receipted. It's that the receipt is your proof. Okay. They can't argue that you didn't get it to them in time if they've signed off on showing that they did get it in the timely manner. Like I said before, this is becoming more and more of a thing to watch out for. I think since they gave the notes, people are using this as a hardball technique to prove that, hey, you don't have option money. You don't have an option period. And when you're working across somebody that is playing that hardball, I promise you, they're going to use this against you. And if you didn't do it in a timely fashion, they're going to, and when you're trying to negotiate an item, they're going to use this against you. And especially if you're trying to exit the contract and say, hey, we're gonna back out and thank you for giving this option period. They're going to say, no, you didn't turn it to us in 3 days. You turned it into us in 4 days. You don't have an option period. And they're technically correct in the eyes of the law, as far as TREC and TAR have communicated to us. Anyways, another way to rephrase this is receipt of the option fee is required in order to even have an enforceable option period. That's how you should be perceiving this section. So if we go over here, let's see. And I know this is, man, like I feel like real estate agents are lazy animals. You guys have a bad habit of or adjusting to change. Make sure you get this signed and make sure you get it signed by the seller or seller's agent. Title's not responsible for this. Don't give it the title. We've come across that on our side a little bit, but I come across a bunch of scrub agents from other companies that they give it to the title company and they act like it's the title company's responsibility. It is absolutely not. Give it to the listing agent or give it to the seller directly and make sure they sign it and you get a copy of that receipt. Some of you guys, if you're actually reading and you're savvy and you're actually reading your contracts, you'll know, hey, but Jay, first sentence of paragraph 23 sounds like it's already been acknowledged. So if you read this, for nominal consideration, the receipt of which is hereby acknowledged by seller, comma. That sounds like they've already accepted, right? To which I would respond to you guys. 1, you didn't read the whole sentence. 2, you're not an attorney. 3, we go with whatever TREC and TAR tell us to do. Okay, so if they are interpreting in one way, you go by whatever they say. All right, and the last one, if you read the rest of the first sentence, it actually specifies exactly how that assumption would be met. It's assumed accepted on the date of execution, but you still have to get the money in within 3 days. No exceptions. The case law is in on this. Lastly, and I think I've already mentioned this, don't give the option money to the title company. Give the earnest money to the title company. Option money needs to go to the seller's agent or the seller directly. Not the title company's responsibility. They have very specific notes on this as well. Don't do it. You guys got to get in the habit of getting it receipted by the listing agent or the seller directly. Okay, so I think that's all I got for this one right now. Let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, scenarios, or concerns, and let me know. Thanks.